afternoon, everyone. My name is Etienne, Okeke, and I'm the CEO of Bit Barter. Bit Barter is a cryptocurrency exchange primarily domiciled in Nigeria, and we also offer cross-border services using stablecoins, right? So I'm very happy to be here speaking to you guys. Bitcoin is a very interesting piece of the financial industry today, and it has always been. But over 15 years, some people have not believed that, but in recent times, it's becoming more evident as times progress. So my talk today is going to be about Bitcoin and the existence of blockchain. So primarily, first thing first, there's a technology called blockchain. Of course, all of us have heard about it. But what do we really mean about blockchain? Does that technology, is it true? Just like you say that technologies like AI, virtual realities, and all those kind of stuff, but is this technology true? Bitcoin is the only application of blockchain that has validated that the technology called blockchain exists. Bitcoin has been running for the past 15 years, and it has never had a downtime. No network, the network has not halted, it has not stopped. There have not been so big bugs that has stopped it working. So there's a technology that is called blockchain, and it works, and Bitcoin is an evidence, or is the evidence that this technology works. So we talk about several other blockchains, maybe Polkadot, Solana, EOS. I remember EOS in 2017. They were calling themselves Ethereum killer. They raised about $4 billion. And in that $4 billion, they raised I think about 1.2 billion in 30 minutes, something like that. It was crazy in 2018. The way the bull run was moving and people raising money from ICOs and all those kind of stuff. So we see a lot of those blockchains. Solana is more recent. Polkadot is more recent. Some founders of Ethereum built Polkadot and all that. So, but all these blockchains over time, we have seen that they have had one issue or the other, or one bug or the other, some other downtime and all those things. So they're high risk and they're very experimental. But the Bitcoin blockchain has always been very stable, right? So when we talk about blockchains and we talk about the applications, people make a lot of arguments. Some people say that not up to 90% of what the blockchain can do has been discovered yet. Somehow I agree with them, somehow I don't agree with them. As innovators, the mindset is always that if you want to innovate, you want to build, you heard the DJ say something like that, you think about the solution, you think about what you want to build, then you go back and look for what tools do I have or what technologies are available for me to build, right? So a lot of things that people say we can apply Bitcoin to might not be visible, right? But we look forward to a future, a very interesting future, where maybe I travel to Abuja and I walk into a hotel. The hotel is fully automated. There's no customer care. There's no receptionist. And I can use crypto to pay somewhere, scan a QR code, pay. Maybe it sends me an email or it sends me some kind of private key. And what's my room number? I get my room number, there's a QR code again on my phone, I put it on the door of my room, the room opens and I get in. So I can live in a hotel for 1 month, 2 months, and I never got to meet any human being. So it looks like the whole hotel is automated, right? You see a lot, you see artificial intelligence playing in this, you see IoT, Internet of Things playing in this, but a critical part of it is payment, right? We begin to talk about different forms of payment. We talk about machine-to-machine payment. Is it possible that I build a software? Let me say I build a software that is, let's take for example, I build Chowdeck, right? Chowdeck in itself is managing how bikes are making delivery. But at the same time, Chowdeck can also pay for a server cost. You talk about machine-to-machine payments, right? And underlying machine-to-machine payment, there's a critical part where crypto plays a role in, right? Can we be able to understand what are the timestamps? People should not be able to tamper with these systems, you know, play around with fundings, or maybe hack these machines to be able to make payments that they are not supposed to do or authorized to do. So these are some kind of high-end edge cases of how we can implement blockchain, what the future looks like. If it's Elon Musk, we say the future needs to look like the future, right? So you see him with his humanoid. What about that humanoid going to the supermarket tomorrow to make payments, right? That's a kind of machine-to-machine payment. He gets to the supermarket, he makes the shopping for you, he buys your groceries, your tomato, your cabbage, all those kind of stuff. And after buying those things, there's nobody at the counter. He just picks whatever he has bought and he's leaving the supermarket. There's nobody in the supermarket. Everything is just, people are just at home, chilling, beach, hotels, lounges, and all those things. But as the machine is leaving, he has made payments, right? He can make those payments in cryptocurrency and all those kind of stuff. But talking about today, what is applicable right now, what is really available, right? The biggest single use case that we have for crypto is cross-border payment. You are sourcing dollar, are you operating in the visible market or the invisible market? Getting dollar in Nigeria is a little bit complicated, right? CBN trying to partly manage dollar availability in the market and trying to control the pricing. At some point I was talking to the DJ and I asked him, Baba, how far? This USDT thing, what's the plan? He told me, oh, no, don't worry. We have arrangements, we are making some regulation around that. Because when I was at SEC sometime in March, I spoke to the head of crypto exchanges. I was like, what's it going to look like? Because CBN is kind of regulating the price of dollar. So who is going to regulate the price of USDT? Because this time you can't even control the supply of USDT just like we are controlling the supply of dollar, right? So how do we play around with all these things? But fundamentally, SEC is supposed to be the one to regulate the price of dollar. Somehow they left that for CBN, the central bank, to do that. But let's see how all these things play out. I don't have a definite answer of how the market is going to be regulated or how it's going to be controlled and all those kind of stuff. But my biggest reservation is that if you are controlling the supply of USD in the market, maybe through Bureau de Change, the BDCs, and also through the banks, some banks get requests to make up to $100 million transactions per month, but the CBN is only giving them maybe $20 million at most. So there's that huge gap that needs to be filled, right? The banks might not be able to want to work with you because you are not licensed and their regulator is very crazy. The CBN regulator is very crazy. So that also boils down to a question I had some other time. I asked one of the commissioners, I was like, okay, CBN dropped a regulation last year, December, saying that if you have a crypto license, the banks and the financial institutions can work with you. Now you are not offering the license, but you are offering approval in principle. What happens? The CBN have not specifically told the banks that if you have an approval in principle, we can work with you. So some of those clarifications needs to happen. Anyway, back to what I was saying, right? Cross-border payments using USDTs and stable coins. So it's a very interesting piece. A lot of money is being moved around Nigeria, inflows, outflows, right? And many of this money is going through USDT. And I'll paint a little bit of picture of how it looks like currently, right? And I will end there. So mostly what happens is that some companies in Nigeria, let me not call names, some very interesting companies want to repatriate their funds, and they begin to look for ways how they can repatriate the fund. If they go to a bank, first is that the bank doesn't have the liquidity. Maybe the company wants to repatriate $100 million, right? I don't know any bank that can really give you $100 million right now in Nigeria. So at some point, even the CBN had to come up with some regulation where you only move a quarter of your money in 3 months. You can't even move the whole money in 3 months. I think if some fraction, maybe like 50% or 1/4 of your money, if you are repatriating funds. So what some of those companies do is that they look for some people called OTC boys. So people who operate OTC dexes, and they give them the naira, right? And these people take the Naira and buy USDT. So if you are conversant with the space, you notice that there are some crypto platforms when you go to, you can't buy Bitcoin. You can't buy USDT, right? Those platforms only sell. They only want you to sell to them. So you deposit your BTC, your USDT, and you sell to them. So there are a lot of aggregators right now in the market. Tiny people who aggregate different USDT from different places. And they can now sell this USDT to these big companies. And the companies can use the USDT and send it to Dubai. Somewhere like Dubai, because in Dubai it's easier for them to convert the USDT into dirham or even actual dollar in a bank account, right? So that brings me to another point. Currently, the crypto space or the liquidity in the crypto space is so much fragmented, right? And that also makes people like us very happy. We think that when the license will come, we can consolidate a lot of this liquidity. We can have proper market makers that can properly position themselves in the market. For example, if you want to buy up to, let's say you want to buy up to 10 million worth of USDT, right? It might take you 2 days to fulfill that order. Sometimes it can take you up to 6 hours. You have to keep buying 100,000, 50,000, 100,000, 200,000. If you see somebody that is selling up to 500,000 to you, man, that guy is kind of good. And by the time you fulfill that order, there's something we call slippage. If the price of dollar or USDT to Naira was, let's say, 1620, by the time you finish buying up to 20 million USDT in the market, the price must have changed from 1620 to maybe 1650. So how do we curtail those slippages? How do we unify liquidity, bring different stakeholders, connect through API? You see what the banks are trying to do. There was a time they pushed a lot this agenda of open banking, open API banking. We tried doing a whole lot of things in Nigeria, people sharing APIs between banks, see how liquidity can move around banks. You know, things like that gave rise to companies like OPay and Kuda Bank and the likes of them, right? So we also believe that things like this, things like the license and properly structuring the space can be able to put the space together and see how there will be more structure, how there will be more liquidity flowing from one point to another. So you can start a transaction in Quidax and the transaction will end in Bit Barter after when it has gone through bought me cash. You know, there might be 3-4 players that liquidity is being mopped up, different order books and different locations that liquidity is being mopped up and it ends up somewhere. But you really don't know what has been going. So that also gives companies a lot of leverage to be able to raise more liquidity. And I was telling one of my friends this afternoon that had it been I wasn't doing an exchange, I think what I will be doing is spending my time building liquidity bots and market making bots, because a lot of exchanges are going to be needing those things. Right now, only Quidax exists as the only order book we have. A couple of other books are coming up, but within all these things, how do we make sure that there's accurate price discovery? How do we make sure that there's unification of liquidity? How do we make sure that the market comes together? And very importantly, we also have this Nigerian factor, people trying to do things in silos. It's just me, I'll be in SEC, I'm trying to get the license for myself. I have this knowledge about Bitcoin and crypto and I stay in my house. I know interesting people like Shane who has come to put things like this together and see how we share some of this knowledge and experience. So I believe that there are people here who are quite experienced in the capital market, who are experienced in building exchanges, I don't know, derivative and all those things. So how can we put all this together? The other day, somebody from an asset management firm reached out to me, I think like 2 people. So they are like, how can we come in? So there's a lot of liquidity locked out there. Let's say maybe $10 family office might be managing, I don't know, maybe $1 billion and all this kind of stuff. But how do we bring those liquidity and be able to facilitate transactions, whether it's for cross-border or for local transactions? How do we leverage such liquidity to be able to make sure that when you are buying Bitcoin, it's not because you are buying $1 million of Bitcoin, the price will move from 99,000 to 99,500, because that is not quite good for the market and also for you that is buying, right? So these are some of the innovations that are going to come into play. Then if I should take, I don't know, I think I've spent a lot of time. So if I should take it a step further, the whole of Africa is the same, right? Don't think it's just happening in Nigeria. If you go to Cameroon, you go to South Africa, you go to Ghana, Uganda, Rwanda, there's a lot of fragmented liquidity in different regions, right? So how do we build innovative solutions, just like the DG said, help this market mature, and many of the things that we can build in Nigeria are things that we can replicate in other places around Africa. I can guarantee you that. I've spoken to a lot of people, even companies from UK and all that, and they're like, see guy, we want to build an off-ramp, on-ramp solution for Africa, but we can't just make headway of how to do that, right? If you go to Europe, there's a unified system, there's the Euro system, you know, the banks are well connected. If you get the Bitcoin, you can easily move it into Euro, you know. The payment that works in France is the same payment that works in Germany, is the same payment that works, you know, in Italy. But the payment that works in Nigeria is different from the payment that works in Central African Republic, right? So you can't even unify the payment systems, not to talk about how can you layer the crypto liquidity and see how you put these markets together. So guys, it's been very interesting being here. I so much thank Shegu. SEC has also given some very, the SEC DG has also given some very interesting insights on what they are doing. And we look forward to a future that is going to be mind-blowing. And I believe that will carry everybody along, and we will do very great and interesting things. Thank you guys. Yeah, it seems like you have
Okay.
Thank you. You and I should be hosting this show. My man, thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. So you're getting on the panel now. So we have a panel real quick.
Okay.